Hello everyone. As part of a series of video lectures on rock mechanics and starter control, in this video lecture, I am going to cover the remaining portion of chapter 4 as part of part 5. Okay, before I start, let's recap what we had discussed in the last video lecture. Like in the last video lecture, we discussed about various components of subsidence profile. Like in the components, something like how exactly. If you look at the various components, right, it is something like what exactly the subsidence trough or subsidence profile, and how exactly the strain profile will vary, and next one, how exactly the displacement profile will change. Okay, with respect to different width of extraction. And we also discussed about the slope of the curve and the point of inflection, angle of draw, angle of break. So basically the point of inflection, it represents what the point at which the profile of the subsidence, the profile of the curve changes from convex to concave or concave to convex. So it changes in either of this direction. At what point it changes, that point is known as point of inflection. Okay, then we also discussed about the profiles of the subsidence profiles under various scenario. Like, in case of subcritical width of extraction, how exactly the subsidence profile looks like. And we also discussed about the strain profile. In that strain profile, we discussed, like, how exactly the tensile portion of it and the corresponding compression portion will looks like. Next, we discussed about the horizontal displacement profile. Okay, in case of subcritical profile, subcritical subsidence profile, there will not be any, since the width of extraction is small, there will not be any maximum subsidence on the surface. So since the maximum subsidence will be there, but there will not be any maximum subsidence on a single location. Coming to the critical width of extraction, in case of critical subsidence width of extraction, we discussed about how exactly the subsidence profile changes with the critical width of extraction, and corresponding the strain profile. Like in the strain profile discussed, like how the tensile portion and the compressive portion of the strain profile changes. Okay, then we also discussed about horizontal displacement profile. Okay, in this, in case of critical width, basically, if you look at the subsidence profile, the maximum subsidence will be at a single location, that is at the center of the width of extraction. Whereas in case of critical width, at the edges of the opening, the amount of subsidence is equal to half of the maximum subsidence. Let us say if the maximum subsidence is S max, then the amount of subsidence on the edges of the opening will be S max by 2. That's nothing but half of the maximum subsidence. Now coming to we also discussed about the supercritical width of extraction. In case of supercritical, how exactly the subsidence profile will change. See here, in case of supercritical width of extraction, it will cut the surface over an area. That's nothing but the line joining the edges of the opening will meet above the surface. So it will cut the surface profile up to certain extent. So in that entire area, the subsidence will be maximum. That is nothing but in this kind of scenario, the maximum amount of substance will lie over at more than one location or over a given area. We also discussed about how exactly the strain profile changes, tensile part of it and the compressive part of it. Generally, in the strain profile, the tensile portion is taken as positive, whereas the compressive portion is taken as negative. Then we also discussed about the horizontal displacement. Next, we discussed about what are the various factors which basically influences the amount of subsidence. See, various factors such as what the depth of the opening. Okay, if the depth of the opening is more, like if the deposit is present at a very greater depth, and even if you make a mining activity, even if you make small opening, right, the subsidence may not be propagated up to the surface. Am I right? So it won't reach up to the surface. That's nothing but the effect of this opening on the surface will be minimum. Okay, so it depends. If the deposit is present at a shallow depth, definitely the substance will propagate, extend up to the surface, and there will be a damage in, or there will be a change in the profile of the ground. Okay, that is about the depth. Now, next coming to the width of extraction, right? Depending on the width of extraction, the amount of subsidence varies on the surface. Then the inclination of the deposit. If you look at the inclination of the deposit, right, the angle of draw, which basically influences the extent of subsidence on the surface. The angle of draw changes with respect to the inclination of the deposit. So the angle of draw on the right side, right, it decreases, whereas if it is on the what you call the dip side, it's keep on increasing. So so depending on that, you know, we can assess the extent of the subsidence on the surface. Next, we discussed about the what thickness of the deposit. Yes, thickness of the deposit. How much, up to what extent you have extracted the deposit. If the thickness of the deposit is more, the area that you need to extract or the kind of void that created due to mining activity will be more, which results into more and more subsidence on the surface. Okay, then we also discussed about the presence of various geological disturbances. Obviously, the geological disturbances, presence of geological disturbances will be having greater influence on the amount of the subsidence. Okay, these are the topics which we discussed in the last video lecture. Next, let's move on. So as part of this video lecture, I'm going to cover the remaining topics of chapter 4, like what are the preventive measures of subsidence. What are the preventive measures of the subsidence? Okay, the preventive measures could be during mining operation and in case and while carrying out the mining operation. What are the what you call the preventive measures that you can take so that you know the amount of subsidence on the surface will be minimum. Next, in case of abandonment, because the mine has been completed and it is abandoned, like definitely there will be the corresponding effect on the what you call the on the surface in due course of time, right? So in case of abandonment, what would be the effect and how to what you call the prevent the corresponding subsidence on the surface. Okay, next one, these are about the preventive measures. Like one is they're both cases. One is during mining operation. Second one is in case of abandoned mine. Next topic which I'm going to cover as part of this lecture, video lecture, is methods of measurement of subsidence on the surface. So nowadays, right, with the improvement of technology, like not only in surveying and the remote sensing, you know, like the other GIS based tools that are available, based on that we can capture or we can precisely compute the change in profile of the ground. So we'll discuss in this video lecture. I'm going to cover some of the latest techniques that you know we'll be using in the field to determine to assess the amount of subsidence on the surface. So these topics, like what are the methods of measurement, might not be covered in a few of the textbooks. Okay, since these are all the advanced topics, so we need to refer a few other books, or it might not be part of the part of your curriculum, but still it is worth of knowing it, because we need to, at least we should have some idea how exactly the technology driven approach in assessing the amount of subsidence on the surface. So these are a flow chart basically represents like what are the methods that we need to follow to control the subsidence. See here, subsidence control measures. First one, while carrying out the while carrying out the mining activity, and the second criteria is during in case of abandonment. So while carrying out the mining activity, one is what? Plane fitting. Nothing but if a building is present on the surface, there are jogs are attached to the bottom of the building. So they will be adjusted automatically to minimize, they will be adjusted in such a way that to minimize the strain that got produced in the event of any subsidence occurs on the mine. Okay, next, trench around the house. By digging what you call a kind of trench nearer to the what you call the basement of the house, so that you know like what are the strains that get produced due to the subsidence. Okay, its effect can be minimized. Okay, the tensile tension cable, it's a kind of new thing. Next, hydraulic sand stowing. Yes, by practicing the sand stowing, like by filling the whatever the what you call the extracted area that we'll be getting, right, after carrying out the mining activity, that will be filled with some inert material, so that you know if you fill that entire excavated area, there's no question of subsidence on the surface, right, or it will be minimum on the surface. So that way, like we can avoid the amount of subsidence on the surface. It's something like a backfilling or the stowing practice. This is also known as stowing. Next one, partial extraction method, because these are all related to while carrying out the mining. So this is very important. Partial extraction is nothing but like we need to depending on the topology of the surface or what are the features that are present on the surface over the mining area, we need to carry out the mining activity. So depending on the important features that are present, sometimes we might need required to leave certain portion of the pillar, okay, without excavating it, like what you call the leaving the pillar in situ, uh, in its in situ condition. It is something like what the partial extraction method. It comes under the category of partial extraction method. Look at here, uh, in partial extraction method, first one is NEW. This is very important, guys. I felt like this is one of the important topic. Non-effective wet. New. New is nothing but, anyway, we'll be discussing in detail in the coming slides. New is nothing but the width of extraction is chosen in such a way that, okay, because of that particular excavation, the amount of substance on the surface should be minimum. That width of judicial selection of that width of extraction is known as new non-effective width. Okay. Second one is a chessboard kind of a pillar. Like the pillar will be extracted in a chessboard manner. Of exactly various boxes appear in the chessboard, right? In the same way, black or white, right? So in the same way, what do you call? Similar kind of methodology is being adopted. Next, goph pillar. Nothing but by leaving certain pillar against the goph, so that we can protect the empty of the surface pillars. And wide and stall. This is nothing but by providing proper what you call the supporting system. Next, splitting of pillars with stowing. Yes, during deepening operation, whatever the what you call the during what you call the stook, splitting of pillars is nothing but stook, right? So after splitting the pillar, immediately you need to fill with some inert material. It is with stowing. Next, splitting of pillars with side bolting. And the last one is harmonic mining. This is very, very important. This will be discussed in detail in the coming slides. Okay. So these are this is about in case of working mine. Next, coming to the abandoned mine. Okay, because if the mining activity is already over, there is abandoned mine. It's got closed. Okay, quite long back, and then there is a possibility of due to settlement of the surface, right? There is a possibility of substance that might propagate up to the surface. In such a situations, how to do it? See, point anchor method. Nothing but like by drilling a hole, like whatever the gap that got produced, okay, in that area can be filled. See, point and support methods like gravel column, fly ash grout injection. Nothing but like by drilling a hole from the surface in the subsided area, okay, the fly ash will be injected into the excavated location so that it will fill the entire gap of it. Okay. Next, fabric formed concrete kind of thing here. Next, area. Next, this is again the area backfilling, pumped slurry injection, fly ash slurry injection, and in pneumatic, if it is a hydraulic operated, pneumatically fly ash injection. So these are the different methods, to reduce the amount of substance, to control the amount of substance on the surface in case of abandoned mine. Okay, this is with respect to while carrying out the mining activity. This is in case of abandoned mine. Okay, let's move on. So these diagrams basically depicts like how exactly the surface get damaged, okay, in the event of in the event of the shallow deposit and due to mining activity. So this is and in this case the road got whatever the road, right, that got completely damaged. This is the cracks that were developed near to the housing location. Okay, this is where it got nearer to this location got damaged. There is some kind of pothole kind of thing here. So this is basically what you call the depicts how exactly the surface damage that might occur due to the subsidence. Okay. Okay. This I already covered as part of that. Like and same thing got repeated here. In case of what are the different methods and during which scenario it is being used and how effective it is. Like harmonic mining, yeah, this mining activity during mining activity almost strain free mining to control deformation on the surface. Like this is used for effective control controlling of subsidence on the surface. Gravel column, nothing but what? Filling that portion, right? This is being used in case of abandoned mine. The gravel gives a firm contact to the roof and eliminates the ground movement. Okay. Next, fly ash grout injection. Yes, so this is also in case of abandoned mine. Fly ash grout injected is effective in a partially subsided area to fill the small voids and cavities. Okay. Next, fabric formed cement. This is also being used in case of abandoned mine. And grouted concrete support the overburden to avoid the subsidence movement. Okay. Next one, pumped slurry injection. This is also used in case of abandoned mine. So here the slurry will be what you call the will be pumped by drilling what you call a long hole from the surface. Used in dry or wet condition, offer more effective overburden support than the other flushing method. It also increase the residual strength of post-failure stiffness. Next, flash slurry injection. Okay, this is made of one kind of what you call what you call eco-friendly kind of mining, wherein we can what you call the reuse whatever the we can use the fly ash what you call that is being after that is being produced in thermal power plants after burning the coal. What is the fly ash that is being thrown out of thermal plants that can be effectively used in filling what you call this kind of excavated areas so as to avoid the subsidence. Flash slurry injection. Slash towing with a 50 to 6% solid travel a greater distance to support large area of overburden. Next, pneumatic fly ash injection. This is again used when pneumatically, where a fly ash will be injected to fill the area. Next, we'll discuss in the right. There are some partial extraction methods. Look at here. This is what I discussed. Partial extraction method, because it is more related to. These are some kind of vertical the arrangement that we need to make on the surface, trench around the house and the tension cable, this and this. Now coming to the with respect, which is related to the mining activity, right? Partial extraction methods. So these things we need to take care. These things we are going to discuss. Okay, partial extraction methods. The partial extraction methods can be classified into two groups. Okay, pillars and overburden both are stable. So if the pillars are stable and the overburden is stable, and there won't be anything, right? Wide stall method and the pillar splitting method. And the pillars are stable and the overburden may fail. And nothing but what you call the overlying strata is weak. So then in such a case, non-effective width of extraction, chessboard method and the Goff pillar. Because since the overlying strata is weak, it might collapse, right? So we need to judicially select the width of extraction so that non-effective width, this term itself indicates that the width of due to selection of that particular width, there will not be any subsidence on the surface. Next, chessboard method and Goff pillar method. Next, partial extraction method. Look at here, wide stall method. It involves wide. See when it will be used. Look at here, pillars and overburden both are stable. Both are stable. Okay, it won't fall. Still, you can adapt to this kind of methods. The pillars are stable and the overlying strata is weak. We can adapt these methods. Okay, these are all comes under the category of partial extraction method. Okay, see wide stall method. It involves widening of the galleries from its sides or sides. From its sides, you are simply widening them so that we can increase the amount of extraction. Okay, we can reduce the size of the pillar by increasing this. See here, initially it was this and this much portion it got extended. So you can increase the what you call the widening of the galleries. So we can increase the size, what you call the size of the opening. Next, pillar splitting method. Nothing but what these are the pillars, right? You can split it. So these portions you are leaving in its insertive conditions to avoid the subsidence. So this way, partially you are extracting a certain amount of the code, certain percentage of the code, right? So that's why it is called the pillar splitting method. So pillars are split and form a number of stoops. Am I right? Yes, this is what it is. Okay. Next one, chessboard method. Look at here. It's a kind of some kind of pattern we are following, so that it formed a shape of a regular pattern of chessboard kind of thing, so that it redistribute the what you call the load that is acting, and whatever the strain that you will be getting, right, it gets balanced with this kind of approach. As a result, the net amount of substance that might occur okay, during extraction of the coal, right, it will be reduced. Okay. Next, Goff pillar method. Goff pillar nothing but leaving certain pillars you are extracting it, leaving certain pillars against the groove. Okay, this is a complete one, and you have left this, and you have left these pillars you are leaving in the groove, so that like it can what you call the it will be acting as some kind of protective pillar. So this one, go find a pillar method. Next, plan of panel designed by extracting diagonal row of pillars. Obviously, it's like the pillars will be there for this one. See, instead of straight line, definitely the length of this line. Look at here. Okay. Look at here. If I take any straight line, when you compare this length versus this diagonal length, definitely the length of the diagonal will be more. Am I right? So length of the diagonal will be more. That is nothing but instead of acting this load on this particular shorter length, the same load overlying strata, whatever the load due to the overlying strata, that will be acting over a larger area. Like this. Bigger one, right? Over a larger area. It will be acting over a number of pillars, it will be acting over an area. Right? So that's what it is. It will be acting over an area. So panel design for extracting diagonal, because if we extract the pillars in a diagonal way, so that like load will be distributed over a larger area, and its effect will be minimum. So these are what we call partial extraction methods. Okay. Next, hybrid. Hybrid is nothing but combination of them, because here by adopting different kind of strategy. Okay, like there are two things. One is article we wanted to reduce the amount of substance on the surface. At the same time, we want to extract the what we call the coal, that is or the mineral deposit, to a maximum extent, right? By adopting what we call a combination of the above methods. So in hybrid method of partial extraction, in this basically by adapting different mining methodology, like our aim is to extract the mineral deposit to a maximum extent, and at the same time we wanted to minimize the amount of substance on the surface. So in order to achieve both, like it's a kind of, as part of this strategy, like we'll be using the combination of different methods. Like that's why they are called hybrid method of partial extraction. Like it is in combination of wide star method and pillar splitting method. Like pillar will be splitted, and the what you call the width of the galleries or roadways will be what you call widened. That way, like we can increase the amount of amount of extraction, or the percentage of extraction, and minimize the what you call amount of substance on the surface. Okay, so let's see here. This is in case of non-effective width. Basically, how exactly the width will changes. Okay, if this is the width, how much would be this the substance? This one. This is in case of diagonal, how exactly this. The width decreases, how exactly this. So this is in case of non-effective width. Next, harmonic mining method. This is very important from examination point of view. Let's say there are two pillars, two seams, okay, lying at a different depth. These seams are present at a different levels of depth. Now what happens if you look at the what you call the substance profile of the first seam? Let's see. So this is about the substance profile of the first seam. I just wanted to demarcate with the different colors so that you can understand easily. This is the second one. Okay, two different colors. Now what happens here? If you observe this is what the profile of the first one, and this is what the profile of the second one. So if you look at the strain profiles, right? For the first one, this is how exactly the compressive and the tensile. In the second case, it is something like what? This is what the compressive, tensile, compressive, and tensile. So there is a kind of what are the strain profiles that we'll be getting? They are getting balanced here. They are getting balanced here. That's what it is. So as a result, what happens? The net amount of strain, the effect of net strain that will be getting on the surface to change the profile, right? So it's get what you call somewhat nullified. So that's what it is. See here, In case of harmonic mining method, see the extraction of the panel causes tension. See, generally what happens? Extraction of any panel causes the tensile and compressive strain in the surface. The working of two seams should be so advanced simultaneously to cancel out the balance of strain. This is what exactly it is. It is cancelling out. This is tensile. See here, this is of compression, and this is of what? Tensile. What are the strain that got produced because of the second extraction of the next seam, right? So the working of two seams should be so advanced simultaneously to cancel out the balance of strain caused by phase, by strain induced by another at a different level. So one phase produces whatever the strain, it gets balanced by the phase, what you call the extraction of the phase in a different level. So this approach is known as harmonic mining. Okay, which is, however, it's not that simple basically for implementation. Okay, it requires a judicious selection. You need to ensure that rate of progress, because rate of progress of this seam depends on the rate of progress of this seam, right? If there is any difficulty, you cannot extract this. So in practicality, it is not that simple, but still there is one conceptually, there is some method using which you can minimize the amount of subsidence on the surface. Okay, that this is very important method basically, not only from the understanding point of view, but also from the entrance point of view. This is very most of the entrance examination you'll be asking like, okay, which method of mining is being used to minimize the amount of subsidence on the surface? That is harmonic mining method. See here, because the mine has to be pre-planned, and also problem due to interaction between the phases is in different seams have to be encountered. That's what it is. So it has to be carried out simultaneously. So it's not that easy to find implement when come to the implementation point of view, from the implementation point of view. Okay, so this is about that. So let's move on. Next, that is about the different methods of controlling the subsidence on the surface. Next, let us discuss further what are the methods of measurement of subsidence on the surface. Okay, the following are various deformation monitoring systems, because we need to monitor and what you call monitor the amount of subsidence on the surface, and accordingly we need to take adequate precautions. So first one is the surveying techniques. Obviously this is a kind of conventional method, and even though it's a conventional kind of method which is an age-old method, but still there are so many advanced equipments that are being introduced into the surveying systems. So okay, in this method the levels, theodolites, total station, GPS in combination with the GIS can be used to monitor the amount of subsidence on the surface. This is one of the effective method. Nowadays, using total station, GPS and GIS is enough to to carry out the surveying over the complete mined out area and to measure the amount of subsidence on the surface. Next, coming to the geotechnical methods. So okay, in this method we need to measure what are the cracks that got produced. Based on that, how much is the width of the crack that got produced, and the extensometer and the inclinometer basically used to to measure the curvature of the substance profile that we'll be getting, and physiometer they are used to measure the displacement of water levels. The tiltimeters are used to measure the curvature. Next, coming to the remote sensing method. In case of, these are the most advanced methods in which differential synthetic aperture radar, DINSA, and digital elevation model techniques are used, because let's say using remote sensing, we'll be taking the remote sensing photographs of that particular area at a various time interval, and by comparing the photographs of remote sensing photographs of that particular area, we can easily determine how much will be the deformation on the surface, and how exactly the corresponding topology that got changed. Next one, the last one is numerical modeling techniques. By measuring what are the information that we captured by carrying out the conventional surveying method. Okay, those information can be fed into the numerical modeling software, which basically based on the finite element method and finite difference method. There are so many softwares that are available using which you can predict the elevation changes, or you can model the subsidence profile of that particular area. So surveying techniques. In this method, to monitor the subsidence related to mining, observation stations are arranged along strike and incline. See, there are so many stations that are being placed. I think in the next slide it is there. Yeah, look at here. This is the mining area where there are so many what you call the surveying stations that are being. This is what you call the width of extraction that we wanted to extract it. This is a case of what you call the longwall mining. So before carrying out the mining activity, there are so many surveying stations that were established on the surface, like all along the strike as well as along the deep at a different interval. Okay, and these surveying stations are grouted by means of a cementing what you call the concrete blocks. Okay, and there is a benchmark which is present outside the what you call the mining area, so that it won't get disturbed. With respect to this benchmark, we'll be calculating the levels of level difference of varying survey stations, okay, that are being established over this mined out area. Okay, in this method, to monitor the subsidence related to mining, observation stations are arranged along strike and inclination, nothing but along dip direction above the working coal face. Okay, several methods have been used to determine the subsidence. These observation points, subsidence of these observation points, including leveling, GPS global positioning system, and total station base. Earlier in the old what you call in the earlier methodology, basically the entire what you call the subsidence surveying is being carried out using leveling method. But with the advancement of the technology, nowadays people started using the GPS and the total stations. Next, the leveling of surveying stations are determined with reference to the common benchmark placed outside the mining area. Okay. Next, total station is used to measure elevation difference between varying survey stations with the progress of mining activity. How exactly the elevations of those points are varying. Next, contour lines are drawn by using GIS or because by feeding the whatever the surveying information that we got it, that can be fed into the GIS software, using which you can what you call the you can determine the digital elevation model, or we can draw the contours of that particular area. Okay, contour lines are drawn by using GIS or DAM, digital elevation model based software, predict elevation between various surveying stations. Next, the horizontal and vertical displacement and the corresponding strain profiles are drawn to predict the amount of subsidence. So that's what it is. So what are the strain profile that we discussed, right? Those things can be drawn by using the surveying technique. However, the limitations of this method, including the need to measure the subsidence on a point by point basis, correct? Right? Because we need to carry out the leveling at each and every surveying station or the station that are present over the mining area, and it involves high cost, and these methods are labor intensive. Okay, but even though this is what you call one of the most frequently used method in the field, but still it is of what you call labor intensive. Look at here this diagram, as I said, right? This diagram basically shows over a longwall panel there are so many surveying stations that are being established to calculate the level difference while carrying out the mining activity. So by determining the level difference of various surveying stations, we can determine like the deformation of deformation or the change in the profile of the surface due to the mining activity, or we can also determine the profile of the subsidence profile of the ground. Okay, this is about the same thing over the subsidence area, how exactly the contour what you call the contours can be plotted, because by carrying out the level survey, it basically depicts that. Next one, this is kind of for this one, right? Look at a satellite image picture, they took it, and the corresponding field findings they took it, like how exactly the cracks that got developed, how exactly the displacement that took place. It's something like image aerial photography of the satellite image versus the field observations. Okay, based on that, using this, you can compare the subsidence profile. Next, the geotechnical methods. Using geotechnical method. Let me correct this. Just a minute. Okay. Using geotechnical methods, with the surveying methods, the curvature, tilt, and the profile of the ground can be determined. Okay, next, remote sensing. This I was talking about. In remote sensing, okay, this kind of more advanced method, which with the advancement of technology, we can pretty much use this methodology in predicting the amount of substance on the surface. In remote sensing, differential interferometric synthetic aperture radar (DINSA), okay, differential interferometric synthetic aperture radar is a well-known technique that can be used to monitor the substance over a large area. Okay, next, it has an accuracy of an order of centimeter or millimeter. With that, up to that accuracy, we can measure. DINSAR is used to measure the induced subsidence. In this method, remote sensing images of subsided area are taken periodically over a period. Like, let's say after every 1 week or every 15 days, we capture the image of that particular location and find out like, okay, is there any changes in that particular area. So it's purely based on the remote sensing, whatever the remote sensing photographs that will be taking images, that remote sensing, not photographs, images that will be taking, right? That will be capturing. So difference of those features can be vertical observed, and so that we can monitor the deformation of the surface, and are used to monitor the deformation of the surface due to mining activity. Next, in case of abandoned mine area, this method is used to determine the change in profile of the ground. So in case of abandoned mine, over in due course of over a period of time, how exactly the profile got changed. So we can interpolate the things like, okay, by taking the old remote sensing photograph versus remote sensing image versus what is the current status latest remote sensing image. So by interpolating or by comparing the two remote sensing images, we can determine the change in profile of the ground. Okay. Next, there are numerical modeling techniques. Like as I said, these are the new numerical modeling techniques. You can better infer how exactly the forces, net effective forces that are acting, and how exactly the sliding that is going to change, how exactly the curvature that is going to change. Okay, and we can predict, like, okay, in future, given this kind of information, like different rock parameters and all, like how exactly the deformation that might likely to occur in future. So those kind of interpretations that we can make using numerical modeling technique. So the level readings of subsided area are collected by using GPS. Total stations are given as the input to the numerical modeling software for analyzing the subsidence of the area. So the numerical modeling techniques such as FEM and FDM, finite element method, and finite difference methods are used. So these are some kind of advanced topics, but still it is worth of knowing them. So that's the reason I have just incorporated them here. Okay. Next, what would be the effect of? See, so far we discussed about how to control the substance while carrying out the mining activity, and in case of abandoned mines. We also discussed about how to measure the amount of substance on the surface. Then, then we'll discuss about what are the effects of substance on the surface. Okay. First one is the effect of substance. What it does basically, there will be a development of cracks. If you observe it, right? So whatever the surface drainage level, that was drainage system that was present, definitely since the profile got changed, okay, that particular drainage system gets disturbed, number one, right? And if the cracks are developed, right, or propagate up to the surface, the land cannot be used for any other purpose like in agriculture and all. It's just become in use, right? So look at here. So the following are the effects of subsidence on the surface. Change in profile. Okay, change in profile of the ground, which will damage the land, right? It's because earlier it was flat, it got disturbed. Subsidence will change the surface water flow direction. Obviously, the drainage system gets disturbed. Cracks will be developed onto the surface, right? Development of cracks into the surface, structural features in cracks. The structural features present over the subsided area. development of cracks. Okay, cracks will be developed into these surface structural features present here, because if there are some household kind of thing, there will be what you call the cracks will be developed into those buildings. Damage of surface pipelines. Am I right? In case of any pipelines or anything is there, due to what you call the strain, right? It's get damaged. Damage of roadway and any other surface properties present over the subsided area. Okay. Next, change in groundwater level of the area. So that's how it is. So these are all the different what you call the effects on the surface due to substance. Okay. With this, I'll conclude this video lecture. Thank you. Oh, this. Okay. This side come. This is very important. So just to recap, like in this video lecture, what we discussed, like we discussed about what are the preventive measures of the subsidence. Like preventive measures, something like what during what you call while carrying out the mining activity, and also in case of what you call the abandoned mine. So while carrying out the mining activity, we can pretty much predict by adapting some kind of control measures like partial extraction. In that again, different approaches like what you call the chessboard kind of thing, like widening of this one and stowing with what you call the while splitting of the pillars, something like this, or we can use the combination of them. Okay, and in case of abandoned mine, by filling that particular area. And we also discussed about the methods of measurement of subsidences. So in that, like we touched as part of this video lecture, I have touched few of the advanced concept, like what you call the remote sensor based method of prediction of subsidence. Like what call in the even though it's advanced topic, I just thought of including them as part of this, just to give some kind of awareness. Like in this one, right? The what you call the remote sensing images of the particular area to be monitored are taken at a predetermined time interval, and the what you call change in surface features can be monitored. Okay, and with that, like we can plot the what you call the change in topology of the surface. Okay, so with this, I'll conclude. Thank you.